This episode of the Fonzcast is brought to you by
Donkey Punch,
which would like to remind you that the Fonzcast may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Will you still love me when I got nothing but my aching soul? I know you will.
You've Got Feelings with Sam.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the first ever You've Got Feelings with Sam. I'm here in the studio with Josh Cole today, and we're going to start talking about my favorite and hopefully your favorite chick flicks. Today's first chick flick is You've Got Mail, the inspiration for the segment. You've Got Mail stars Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. Oh yeah, she's super adorable in this movie. You can't stop looking at her. Tom Hanks is equally as adorable, but in a manly way. He's more charismatic, you could say.
Ruggedly handsome?
Ruggedly handsome. Well, not ruggedly, just regular.
Delicately handsome?
Yeah, delicately handsome. That's
Yeah.
much better. It's
Yeah.
Upper West Side of Manhattan. They're not getting too rugged up there. Tom Hanks stars as Joe Fox, the owner of a massive bookstore, and Meg Ryan stars as Kathleen Kelly, the owner of a not-so-massive children's bookstore. It's actually quite delightful.
See, the children's bookstore, they're already tugging, they're going straight for the heartstrings.
Yeah, straight for the heartstrings, but you can already see the potential for conflict because it turns out that those two bookstores are very close to each other. Anyways, you find out very early in the movie that the two characters actually know each other outside of their whole bookstore conflict. They've been corresponding in secret. They both are dating somebody, by the way, so it's quite scandalous. They're corresponding in secret in an over 30 chat room on AOL, which is featured a lot in this movie. There's a lot of product placement for AOL because it was a big deal.
Yeah, when did this movie come out again?
1998, you guys. It
AOL
was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
They've been corresponding for several months over AOL online instant messaging. And I gotta say, things are heating up. They're starting to get a little too attached to each other.
So I've never seen this movie before, but do they not get along in their business life? Or are they like...
Not at all, yeah. Tom Hanks actually knows who she is, but she doesn't know who Tom Hanks is, and then she finds out. Tom Hanks finds out before she does. They end up actually meeting, and they both are very nervous about it because they don't know what's going to happen. And Tom Hanks walks in. This is after they know who each other are in real life.
Right.
He walks into the cafe, and she's very mean to him, and he's just mean back. And it's hard to watch, but it's also kind of charming at the same time, I gotta say.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can see the chemistry even in their meanness.
So they're there to meet their pen pal that they like so much, but when they see each other, they know that they're rivals, and so they fight.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's actually quite sad at the end of that scene, too, because not only does Meg Ryan think that she was stood up by the supposed man of her online dreams,
right.
Tom Hanks is also very sad because he knows now who this is.
Uh-huh.
And she hates him.
Wow.
So imagine having to be on both sides of that. It's just heart-rending for everybody.
I'm trying to put myself in Meg Ryan's shoes right now, and I'm starting to tear up a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, he is. It's quite touching. Anyways, things progress. They start to kind of develop both relationships a little bit more, online and offline, and the chemistry just keeps on, like, shooting through the roofs, guys.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So what happens?
Well, essentially what happens, Josh, is towards the end of the movie, Tom Hanks kind of decides that he is going to woo her as Joe Fox.
Oh, he's going to win her back.
Yeah, as the person that she hates. So he starts hanging out with her and over the pretense of just wanting to be friends, you know, and
Just hanging out casually at a children's bookstore.
totally,
Sure, that
yeah,
seems normal.
it's totally normal. It's not creepy at all. What is sad though is the children's bookstore actually does end up closing because he puts her out of business.
Why?
But despite that,
Why?
their chemistry overtakes the heartbreak of that happening. And they kind of develop a relationship, and she starts to come around, and she becomes his friend. But she still holds out for this online...
Romeo?
Romeo, essentially. I believe his screen name is NY123, but it's not really, like, that important.
I
in
think
the
from
long
here on
run.
out, let's just refer to him as Online Romeo.
Online Romeo. Much better. They should have gone with that. Anyways, he starts to woo her and eventually kind of works. And then they decide to meet once again, the online personas.
Oh.
And it's after a very kind of sad moment where she tells Tom Hanks or Joe that she's going to be with this online guy and not with him. And then she's standing in Central Park, and then Tom Hanks's dog Brimley runs up and finds her, and she's like, Brimley, I didn't like, no, you would be here. And then Tom Hanks comes walking around the corner, and she just starts crying.
Oh,
and
is that the part where you started crying?
I started crying way before that part, but I continued crying straight through that.
Sure.
It was beautiful, you guys. It's a great movie.
So, would you recommend this movie to our Fonzcast listeners?
I would recommend it to not only the Fonzcast listeners, but the listeners of just your soul, your own hearts.
Sure.
If you can listen to your own heart at all, and if you can, if your heart can tell you what to do, it should be telling you to watch this movie.
Wow. Like, if you were gonna rate it, how would you rate it?
I would rate it, I've developed a rating system. Some of you may not be aware of Nicholas Sparks. He is he writes a lot of romantic comedy or just romantic stories, and a lot of them have been adapted into movies, such as The Notebook, and one where Rachel McAdams falls in love with a time traveler. Not Eric Bana. It's not Eric Bana though, guys.
Okay.
Spoiler.
More spoiler alerts.
Yeah. So based off of that, I give it 3 out of 5 sparks.
All right. That rate's pretty high.
Yeah. I do have one issue with this movie, though, and that is that the dog Brimley is played by 2 separate dogs.
Ugh. And you can tell?
You can tell immediately, Josh.
That's just poor directing.
It just like it takes you out of the moment.
Right. Kind of brings you back to your horrible reality wherever you are watching.
The dog
this movie.
looked like it aged 7 years when it's only been like 4 months.
How are you as the viewer supposed to believe any of this?
I know.
When that's happening.
Other than that, it's a great movie.
Well, there it is.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you now. Next segment, we're supposed to do 90s movies, I'm told. So I'm thinking maybe Harry Met Sally.
I suggested Titanic. You know, we're going to throw it out there. And that being said, for you, the Fonzcast listener, if you have suggestions of movies you think Sam should review.
I'm always looking for new chick flicks that I haven't seen. So,
or even old classics that he has seen. You can send those suggestions to fonzcast@gmail.com, and we'll forward those over to Sam, and then he'll have mail, and he will watch them, and we'll review them for you.
And hopefully you'll have feelings.